Welcome to another episode of IPT, and this week we're covering a little thing that a lot of people seem to get up in arms about, and that is the saturation of the personal training industry. And what we mean by that is there being far too many personal trainers nowadays compared to what there was in the past. Now, this is a topic of conversation that comes up a lot when we're speaking to trainers, and it's not just myself, it's the other coaches in IPT. We come across personal trainers and people who are potential personal trainers out there who seem to think there's too many personal trainers. So we wanted to have a little bit of a fact check on that, because when you are in the fitness space, especially online on social media, even in certain gyms, you're going to feel like there's too many personal trainers. There's 10 personal trainers per gym. There's a million people out there doing, I don't know, fitness programs and being online trainers, and you're seeing all these people who are coaches. The fact of the matter is, in the UK, there's just over 69,000, that's 69,000 personal trainers. Now, there might be a whole bunch of unregistered trainers, and that's a different topic of conversation. But registered personal trainers in the UK, there's about 69,000. Now, when we consider that the UK population is roughly about 68 million, and that's going into 2024, by the way. I've checked the figures. We're looking at 68.5 million people in the UK by 2024. That's a lot of people per trainer. And actually, we understand very much so that not everybody who lives in the UK is going to go to a gym. And actually, the statistics, we've talked about them before. It's 20% of people who are into fitness, going to gyms, getting some sort of kind of support out there by using fitness. So let's dive into that number. 68 million people, and what's 20% of that? Well, it's 13.6 million people. So in the UK, 13.6 million people do fitness. That's what we know. We know it's 20% of the population. That's 13.6 million. We also know that Pure Gym, one of the biggest companies out there for fitness in the UK, they have just over 2 million members. So when we look at the spread of people out there, it's spread all out within different gyms, different things that people are doing. And let's take a deeper dive into those numbers. So when you divide 69,000, or we rounded it up actually to 70,000. When you divide those 70,000 people into that 13.6 million people, then we have a number of roughly about 200 people per personal trainer currently. 200 people per personal trainer. That's a lot of people for each personal trainer. And granted, let's look at the penetration rate then of most personal trainers out there. Most personal trainers are going to be working in an environment where they can get roughly 20% of the kind of people who go to the gym who will be interested in doing personal training. So now we're down to about 20 people. 20 people per trainer. Now, if every personal trainer had 20 people, they would all have good businesses. It would be sustainable. It would be fine. Now, that means the market isn't really saturated. If anything, there's still 80% of the population out there that needs help and support. And recently, when we did our nutrition in real life course, literally just a few days ago, one of the things we highlighted was that there might be 20% of the people going to the gym, but 100% of people eat. So they all need help and support with their nutrition. So there's a much bigger market out there for nutritional help. And a lot of the time when you offer nutritional help, you then get people coming to you for physical support. And vice versa, if you start training someone physically and they initially don't want nutritional support, then a lot of the time we see them wanting that additional service as an extra. So when a personal trainer comes to us and says there's too many personal trainers, we also need to remember that of those 69,000 registered personal trainers, a lot of them aren't active, because the statistics still on personal trainers are that they don't do well in their first year. And that's something that we at IPT have been trying to change, and very few of our personal trainers actually go on to not be personal trainers. They go and have businesses. And that's because we offer business support, we offer support when they're in their job. They can come to us at any time and ask questions and get the help they need. But also, there has to be other aspects there as well, like being able to actually get success for clients. So we make sure our students are armed to the teeth with how to build proper programs, with business ideas, how to do social media marketing, because it is important these days. That's where some people will find you. But more importantly, how to do marketing in a gym, because that's where a lot of personal trainers start their careers. Now, the market isn't saturated because a lot of these people start their job and then fail and leave. There's a lot of personal trainers who become personal trainers and then do nothing with the qualification. So where does this whole idea of the personal trainer industry is saturated? Because if you go onto any job website and type in personal trainer, there's going to be jobs in your area. There's going to be jobs nationwide. There is going to be a space for you as a personal trainer. And it's not because the gyms out there have a whole bunch of successful trainers. It's because there's still a churn of personal trainers. And we at IPT want to try stop that. We want to make sure that people are educated and that they stay in the industry for as long as they want to, rather than being forced out because they can't get clients. There's a lot of factors, obviously, in being able to get clients, but one of the biggest things we've seen over the years as a collective is that newer trainers aren't in the gym enough to actually pick up the clients. They are usually sitting in the back. They are usually not helped enough or don't have the confidence to go and actually speak to people and get clients. So there's a lot of bad things going on, and let's face it, you know, if we really look at it, most gyms, they just want their money from the personal trainers. And if you do know who Nick Mitchell is, he is the owner of Up Personal Training, Ultimate Performance. He came out this week in an article and actually spoke about this and how the industry is not moving forward properly because there is a lot of gyms out there who have managers who are they just care about the bottom line. The education and support of the trainers isn't there. It's not a profession as such because it's not regulated enough. So there's a lot of cowboy things still going on, a lot of personal trainers who are on their mobile phones all the time and then wonder why they aren't getting clients. And there's a lot of bad trainers out there who give the industry a bad name. There's a lot of trainers who will take on people maybe they shouldn't, and then that gives trainers a bad name. And there's all these negative things around what being a personal trainer is as well. A lot of people think it's just you counting repetitions. And at the end of the day, people are allowed to have their perceptions, they're allowed to think whatever they want. And if you still think the market is saturated after listening to this today, that's your opinion. But let's look at this from the different points of view. So one, if you're in the fitness space, you're going to see a lot of fitness things on your social medias. That's going to make it seem like the industry is a saturated place. It's not, as we just spoke about, and I've given you the facts. But if you see all that all the time and you constantly see people posting and constantly see things, your perception is going to be based on the things you see. So if you have a social media for your fitness page, I wouldn't be using that as a social media for any kind of personal stuff. I would try keep my personal stuff away from it. That way you can go to your personal page, you'll still get the things that you like. If you like things about cats and dogs, you'll get more of that rather than all this fitness stuff being pushed in your face all the time. And that's absolutely fine, you know, you're still going to be seen as a fitness person, so you're going to get the odd thing, but not as much as if your channel is all fitness, because then that's when you see all the adverts, all the people that are being suggested to you. Everything is going to be fitness based. So it's going to give you a perception. When we also look at people who say the personal training industry is saturated, do we look at people who are successful trainers and hear them saying that? And that's something I want you to think on. How many times have you spoken to a successful personal trainer and asked them if the fitness industry is saturated? You might be surprised by their answer. I think if you were to ask myself, my honest answer would be it is not saturated with good personal trainers. So there is a bunch of people out there who are not the best personal trainers, but are being very successful. And that's because they have understood that people buy people. People buy into the fact that you care about them. People buy all sorts of things because they feel a certain way about stuff. And those people who have the great personalities, who have people buying into what they're all about, they might not be the most qualified personal trainer. They might not have every qualification under the sun. They might not be relatively good at every exercise that they teach, but they are good coaches because they've got their clients on board. And I would hope that they're getting relative success and that's why their business keeps going. But for people who are not getting success with their clients, people who are not able to connect with people and keep their clients coming back, this is where we start to see churn of clients going in and out of a training business, or just the unhappiness of the trainer themselves because they're training people they didn't want to. There's lots of factors at play here, and to say it's just one thing would be incorrect. There's lots of factors. So think about that saturation. Is it actually there? I wouldn't say so. I'd say there's a lot of trainers that could upskill themselves and be amazing trainers. Lots of trainers who are still out there for a quick buck and are trying to make their clients a paycheck, which when you come at people that kind of way, they tend not to stick around for very long with you if you have any success at all. So there isn't saturation. There really isn't. And I think if you are one of those people out there who are a personal trainer currently and you think there's saturation out there, then you should really take a look at the marketplace, because it might be in your area, it feels saturated, but I'm going to guarantee you that there is enough clients for everybody out there. There's enough people to get into your business. You just have to get better at finding them. And if we look at the country as a whole, if we look at the world as a whole, we have, and I put this up in a post today on our social media channel, we have almost 8 billion people on this planet, and 39% of them, almost 40%, are overweight. And personal trainers are going to play a big role in getting that percentage down. So when we look at the 3 billion odd people that need support, now obviously the UK is a small country compared to the 3 billion that are going to be out there. And let's say 20% of that 3 billion only are the ones who take any kind of training from anybody, and 20% of that are the people who train. There's still so many people out there that need actual help and support. So whether you want to go online at some point, that's great, because then you'll have all those people to access. But there's so many people out there who need help and support. So many. And they need good help and support. They don't need you as a trainer to just go in there and take their money. So think about this logically the next time you start to think there's too many personal trainers out there. In my opinion, there's not enough good personal trainers. So really, instead of thinking that the industry's saturated when there's all these job roles out there, instead of thinking the industry's saturated when we still have a lot of cowboys out there, instead of thinking that the industry's saturated because you're not getting clients and you want clients, let's start to look at the issues at play here and not make up that the industry's saturated when it's not. So I'm going to wrap it up there for today. I think this has been a kind of good educational one, especially if you're somebody who is wanting to enter the industry and are a little bit apprehensive about how many people do personal training. As I said, I am forever, and so are the rest of the coaches, being asked if we can provide personal trainers for different gyms. There is no saturation out there. There is only people who have a sparsity mindset, who feel that they can't get enough clients themselves, who are of a negative mind frame around the personal training industry and the people coming into it. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that we provide the best service we can as a training provider, but then you as a personal trainer can then go on and provide that good service, because it won't feel like it's oversaturated when you have lots of inquiries from people who want to actually get your help. What it will feel like is that you are actually saturated with clients, And I think if there's any oversaturation here, that's the one good saturation that can come from being a good trainer. So till next time, guys, take care, and we will speak to you soon.